Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to, or should I say good evening, welcome to round number 9 here at the BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy. We are here at Oran Park this time around for what is promising to being a very, very good race indeed. My name is Daniel Handover, and I will be going solo for this week's racing. Ed will be joining us, all being well, from next week, but he is still feeling a little bit under the weather, so we obviously do still wish him the very speediest of recoveries. Oran Park, a fantastic, fantastic circuit, and one that is not used as much as it should be. V8 Supercars was one of the headliners of this entire race when it was absolutely fantastic to be able to watch them race there, and sadly it is no longer something that V8 Supercars race around because, to my knowledge, it is now not there. It's actually a housing estate, which is a very, very big shame. It's still baffling how V8 Supercars used to run around here. It is absolutely madness, but at the same time, instead of V8 Supercars, we now have MX5s, a perfect sized track, I feel, for this type of car. It's not too long. It's not something like Silverstone or Sebring, which can sometimes be a little bit long within these cars, but it's not too short as well. Someone like Brands Indy can sometimes feel like it goes at the drop of a hat and you sort of lose your way. It is the absolute perfect circuit for this car and for this series. We have seen some fantastic racing. We're coming forward down into the final third of this series, and what a race and what a series it has been so far, and obviously it is not over yet. We've had several drivers win throughout all of the different categories and all of the different classes, and I'm sure we're going to get that continue and moving forward within these final few rounds. Qualifying is underway, so we are going to be moving forward with qualifying in but a few moments time. And we're going to be looking forward, running through how people are doing throughout this season. And we're going to see sort of what times have been put on the board. 15 minutes open qualifying it is for this time out. And we are underway here. First time's already coming in. 1 minute 14 laps. So certainly something that is not slow by any stretch of the imagination straight away for Jason Cooper, who puts it on provisional pole position. Tom Griffiths in second with Adam Delmont in P3. Adam McNally is up in P4, and that's currently your top 4 for the qualifying so far. Craig Cockrell leads the Pro-Am category, with Lee Holmes only a couple of tenths behind. So certainly not that far away. Apologies everyone, we are back. Craig Cockrell leads the way in Pro-Ams with Lee Holmes only a couple of tenths, a couple of hundreds behind in second place. Craig Schill is leading the way in the AM category. As we can see, it looks to be Craig Schill is a marshal as well. Looking at the bottom left, Craig Schill is leading the way in the AM category. Simon Robson only still relatively close. I'm sure that will get closer. Look at these times here. So the gap, it's about a second or so, but I'm sure that time will come down. Because someone got off that would have been Frank Vesna, I think, that had a little bit of a moment that we can see go through that. But Craig Shield, the number 82, currently half a tenth away from Shane Piggott now, who's just gone up into P13 overall and P9 in class. A few drivers that will not be qualifying today because of driver penalties, so that's why we have not seen a few drivers that have come out on circuit. And some of those, we've got Mark Oliver, Sam Smith, Fiona Siddons, Renato Campana, James Clark, Glenn Humberstone, Adam Mitchinson. We have Lars Fisher, Brian Stewart, Douglas Stewart. So, a few drivers that aren't setting laps as it stands. One of the drivers who is setting lap, though, however, is Addy McEwen, the number 4 for the Year 1 Racing MX5. The very striking liveried Year 1 MX5 comes through. Final complex of corners. Great bit of driving. This great bit of circuit as well. All medium to fast and to high-speed corners. It's very, very easy to get lost in these as well. I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of side-by-side battling, as we normally do. But at the same time, I'm sure it's going to be very, very good racing nevertheless. Andy Mukun comes around. He's got a little bit of a toe. It doesn't really make too much difference. If anything, it can actually harm you in certain areas because You got a little bit of dirty air in front. It's minimal, but it certainly is there. Andy McEwen goes up into P5. Only a few tenths off. Jets bumped straight down to P6 because James Neve goes up into and takes that position off of him. Casper de Court, we've seen Casper de Court putting in some fantastic performances. One of the 5-star motorsport drivers. And he is up into P4, currently only 300ths behind Tom Griffiths. Adam McNally has now gone in. He's just put a position up. He's in P6 now and is dropping Andy McEwen down into 7th. Jason Cooper's extended his... he's brought his time down. It's only a 10th of a second here. But bear in mind, this is a shorter lap. So a 10th here may equate to 2.5 or maybe, 2.5 tenths at someone like Spa, for example. It's still very, very close. But it is certainly something that, it's still going to be very, very close here. It is just sea of orange that we can see, as per usual, down into the in your qualifying. There is the gap. So the top 13 separated by a second. The top 20 separated by just over 2 seconds. And 2 seconds, again, seems to be quite a lot. Bear in mind, you've got 3 different classes here. 3 different classes, all battling. They're all battling for championship positions as well and championship points. All of the battles that we've got here, they're all fighting for the same point. The entire championship, there's no class rivalry as such. They are simply fighting all out on track. And the only championship and class decidings are actually within the standings themselves. But they are all racing for position to score as many points as they can. Which does mean that you could have a Pro-Am driver scoring more than Pro drivers, and Am drivers scoring more than Pro-Am drivers, etc, etc. Someone's just had a little bit of an off. Who was that? I think Tom Griffiths has had a moment. Going into turn... Whoopsie daisy. Tom Griffiths from TJ Motorsport goes a little bit wide into turn 1. Turn 2, I should say, actually. Very easy to do that, to be fair. Because what you've got to do, you've got to actually push. You might see if we can ride on board with someone in a few moments' time and be able to see that move forward and actually be able to see that on board. But turn 1, it's that left-hand kink and then going into a very heavy braking zone for turn 2. If you can manage turn 1 flat, you've got to be in a very, very good position for turn 2. Riding now on board with Andy Thompson for Swift Cooper, the number 31, as we go through the final third of the lap. This is the very, very tricky complex. You've got the right and then the 2 lefts. Little bit of sideways moment there, manages to keep it all in check. And that is something, you do want a bit of rotation on the rear. You don't necessarily want that much rotation on the rear. But Andy Thompson managing to keep it all in check. Number 31, last corner. Currently sitting in P9 in the Pro-Am categories and P20 overall. Does this time improve? We will have to wait and see. Less than a tenth and we'll move up into P19. Does he improve? No, he does not. Not on this occasion anyway. You can see what I mean about turn 1 now. So it's flat out up until that point. And then you have to really, really hunker down on the anchors and get the car stopped through turn 2. Very, very impressive there indeed. Coming down now into turn 3. A first gear corner for some, a second gear corner for others. Negotiating very, very cleanly as well. You can see the time has been put into practice with this circuit. It's not an easy circuit. It's an easy circuit to drive. It's not an easy circuit to master. Simply because it's just a little bit too wide. That's one of the only problems that you can sometimes find with these MX5s. If you get on the throttle a little bit too soon, similar to what Annie's just done there, it just lifts the front up, a little bit tricky to go through. You can hear a down change to try and get some rotation in the car. But all seems to be okay at the moment. One more corner to go. Some green sectors for Andy Thompson. Is it going to be... You can hear again another downshift just to get the momentum up and to pick it up and to keep it there. The sequential gearbox makes things a lot easier now with these cars. And there we are, Andy Thompson. Is it going to be an improvement? And do you know what? It isn't. So some green sectors just lost out in the final sector. So that was the issue there. So a little bit of a shame for Thompson. Duncan Cope sitting in second place. Only a couple of positions and a couple of tenths away from Craig Cockrell, who is still leading the Pro-Am category. A couple of drivers have opted not to go out anymore. We're seeing likes of Adam McNally. He has stayed in his position. He's not wanting to move any further. Lee Holmes is in the pits again. I mean, to be fair, these drivers may still come out again. It's only for a minute and then a flying lap. It's only around about I'd probably say, well, it's about 2.5 minutes. So it's not long at all, really. So we may still see drivers come out, and obviously once they cross the line, providing they do cross the line within the time frame, they will be allowed to finish their particular lap. A little bit further down the field, Frank Vesna currently sitting in P24 as it stands at the moment for Team Gonzo Racing, the 333. Couple of positions, I'm sure that time will come down for Frank. That's a little bit too much curb cut there. I'm sure that will be an off track at the minimum. May even be a slowdown. Couldn't quite see what that was. You actually see Andy McEwen. There you go. Andy McEwen's got up into P3. Not entirely sure when that happened, but Andy McEwen has popped himself up into P3. Only 3/10 behind Jason Cooper, so he's giving another crack, as is Jason Cooper. Frank Vesna still currently at the moment in P24. See how he gets on for the remainder of this qualifying session. Harley Moss recently moved up into Pro-Ams from AM. He was dominating in the AM category. Big sideways moment there. Just a little bit too much in the sequential sim sport powered by Evicted Esports number 97. That's a mouthful. Try saying that 3 times in a row. A lot of drivers coming in. This will be their final pit stops now, I imagine. They'll come in, get a fresh set of rubber. Maybe add some fuel if they need to, obviously, and then they will crack on. Again, Harley very committed there. You can see the rotation happen, and then once that car is rotated, what you're actually doing is you're braking. You're braking before the car actually then rotates into the corner. So what you're doing is you're braking as the car is still turning through turn 1. It will have a bit of sideways moment. It'll have a bit of a sideways moment, and then it will actually straighten up. And then the car will start to hunker down again going into turn 2. It's a very tricky complex to get, but if you can get it, you know, it's certainly something that is going to be, like I said, tricky to master, I think, shall we say. As we're looking a little bit further down, we've got Adam McNally saying that went well. I'm not too sure that was on the YouTube chat. I'm not too sure. Has Adam managed to disqualify himself somehow? May have done. The final couple of minutes of qualifying, and then we are going to go into race number 1 of 4 for this evening. Harley Moss, does he improve on this time? Yes, he does. He goes up into P6 overall. At Oran Park and P16 overall, P6 in class. It's still so very close. Again, if we go back to the intervals, here we are. You can see everyone. Look at the gap between McNally, for example, and Craig Cockrell. It's just marginal. There's nothing in between these drivers, which is, again, is fantastic to see. It means that we are going to be treated to some fantastic racing. Having a little bit further up. So Jason Cooper is back out on circuit. There he is, looking to extend his lead of a 1/10 of a second. Andy McEwen he's still in P3. Last best time with that 1:14.55. And you know what? Jason Cooper's just bested his lap time. He's gone for a 1:14.1. So very quick time indeed for Jason Cooper, and extends that lead once more. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Here comes Andy McEwen. So just coming now onto the final, one of his final lap. That actually will be the final lap. There's 45 seconds left of this stint. Oh no, 45 seconds, and that is it. Done and dusted for Andy McEwen. He knows it straight away, and he pulls off. There's no way on earth he'll be able to get another lap in. So that is it. Andy McEwen has to settle for at least P3. It may be a little bit further down the order. It depends if we're going to see any more people take some positions. We've got Tom Griffiths is around about 0.05 of a second behind. It's about half a 10th. Are we going to see that come down? Casper de Court is only 0.03 behind Tom Griffiths, so less than a 10th between these drivers here, and that 10th could mean the 2 or 1 or even 2 positions. But Adam Delmont sitting pretty in second place at the moment, unless we get someone that comes up with an absolute blinder of a lap. There is qualifying over. That is it. Your time is done and dusted. 15 minutes have already gone. And now Tom Griffiths manages. He possibly got held up a little bit in traffic. I'm not 100% sure. Nick Clibbins having a bit. That was a bit of a squirrely moment there. What? There we go. So Nick Clibbins, his time will be his time will be no more. Only a couple of people left to go. Adam Mitchinson, 666 Rally Raid Products, is just going through. Whether that will be another lap that is allowed, I don't think Adam Mitchinson managed to get another lap in. No, I don't think he did. So that will be, unfortunately, it for Adam Mitchinson. So this lap will just be a bit of practice. It won't be leading to anything, unfortunately. And there we go. That is where you can see just coming off. James Clark, Swift Cooper, currently sitting in P20. Is this going to be an improvement on his final lap? Does he go up? Yes, he does indeed. Goes up into P18. So P18 up there for James Clark, and he moves up with a 1:15.58. Again, less than a couple of tenths behind Harley Moss. Couple of people still to go. Frank Vestner is one of them, going to be coming across the line. No, he decides to just dart into the pit lane. I wonder if that is going to be the same for for James Clark. Apologies. Yeah, so James Clark won't be continuing anymore. This will just be a lap of practice. And then we're going to be going into the first race in a few moments' time. And we're going to see how it all pans out. Very, very tricky to tell what is going to happen here. You know, it's always tricky to tell what's going to happen here for race number 1. You know, we simply don't really know. And if we're being honest as well, you know, again, it's so close and it's such a short circuit. We're going to have to see how it pans out, have to see how it goes. But this is your grid for the first race. Jason Cooper will be on your pole position. Adam Delmont in P2 with Andy McEwen in P3. Tom Griffiths 4th, Casper de Court in 5th, James Neef 6th, and then Adam McNally 7th. Craig Cockrell taking the pole position for the Pro-Am category. Luke Cooper in 9th, Shane Piggott in P10. And then we'll be running through the remainder of the grid for you now. We haven't got time to go through everyone, unfortunately. It's a big old grid today. We've got about 33 cars. Not the biggest grid we've seen, but it's quite a sizable grid nevertheless. All the drivers, you can just hear the engine starting to build up as more and more drivers make their way over to the grid. And then we'll be able to move forward. There they are. Jason Cooper, Luke Cooper, Shane Piggott, the last to come on the grid. And when they come on, we will then be able to get going and make a start on race number 1 here. Adam Delmont sitting in P2. He is on the inside, bear in mind. So the one person that may luck out here could be Adam Delmont, although he is not on the racing line. Let us take that into consideration. We simply don't know what's going on. But here come the lights. The revs build up. Here come the lights. What is going to happen? And we are away. Here we go for race number 1 of round number 9. Jason Cooper gets a good start. So does Adam Delmont. Andy McEwen gets an equally good start. So pretty much everyone at the front managed to just sort of get a pretty even start. There was no real difference between them. Jason Cooper taking the defensive line straight away, but Adam Delmont is wanting to make that move early on. Andy McEwen tries to dive up the inside. He's not. He's actually defending from Tom Griffiths, who's going to try and make it way round the outside. That is not the case, though, and that does not move. Changes happening all the way up and down the field. One of the people that's going to go side by side is Adam McNally and James Neave. You've also got Tom Griffiths and Casper de Court that are still going to go side by side. No, they all now slot into single file. Everyone, Mark Oliver, Fiona Siddons have just had a crash. We have been informed. And again, as we go down a little bit further down the order, again, everyone concertinaing up. That was a brave move by Craig Schill. Couldn't quite work it. So Julian Schroer still manages to maintain that position ahead as it stands at the moment. So Craig Schill, the number 82. We see a puff of smoke somewhere. Couldn't quite see who that was. May have been Casper de Court, actually, that had a bit of an off. Casper de Court has dropped down into P7. He's dropped down into P8 now, so I'm not 100% sure what has happened to him. He's dropping down the order quite a considerable way, but I think he's stabilised now. He's being pressured, though. He's being heavily pressured. Luke Cooper is trying to get past. Oh, actually, do you know what? Luke Cooper. There is Casper de Court. You can just see getting out a shot now. Luke Cooper is being pressured by Craig Cockrell, the leader of the Pro-Ams. A very, very interesting race start here. Let's have a quick look at what happened to Mark Oliver. So going down into turn 3 by the looks. Is it just 3 cars not fitting into one space? Oh dear, that was a bit, a concertina effect. Very, very easy, and then it all sort of cascades down. It's very easy for that to happen. It's not the, it's certainly not the trickiest. It's not the easiest, the easiest thing to navigate from. There was Casper de Court's moment. Fair play. Very, very good save there. Managed to keep it all in check. And then leading back to live action, Shane Piggott, the number 127 of Sheffield Motorsport BSR, is trying to make a move on Nick Clibbens. Nothing as of yet. Nick Clibbens being hung out to dry a little bit, but manages to still maintain that position at the moment. Nick Clibbens has actually made up, so both Clibbens and Piggott have actually swapped positions in all of this commotion in the first couple of laps. And this is a bit of a battle here as well. This is cracking on with looking at it. We've got, as we can see here. So obviously you've got Shane Piggott is currently in the middle. This is Craig Schill. Apologies, we just had a little bit of a moment there with the overlays, but we are now back. This is the battle for P21st overall, but you got Craig Schill in P3 in the AM category, making a move on Frank Vesna. Frank Vesna's had a little bit of a moment. He's now in the wall, so that has certainly cost him some time. The 444 as well of Julian Schroer has had a bit of a knock as well. You can just see. Again, Constantine up again, going into turn 2. Oh, someone's gone off. Who was that? Couldn't quite see who that was. That was Craig Schill. So Craig Schill has now dropped all the way back down. He's going to drop even further. Harley Mossels have got pies. So is Fiona Siddons. So positions lost already. For Craig Schill, that's certainly something that he's not going to be too best pleased about. Shane Piggott still maintaining his current only one position lost with Nick Clibbens in P10 just ahead. Adam Delmont's had a moment as well. I wonder where that is. Adam Delmont in P2. He's being hustled, isn't he, though, by the back of Andy McEwen. Andy McEwen's going to try and look up the inside. He's got a good run now coming down into turn 1. Andy McEwen has got the inside line. Is it going to be enough, though? I don't... Actually, it is. Adam Delmont still has right of way, technically, because Andy McEwen is not halfway up the inside. He's halfway up the inside now, and he's more than halfway up the inside. This is going to be it. Andy McEwen down into turn 1. Leaves enough space for Adam Delmont to try and push back through. Andy McEwen goes a little bit wide. Oh, I thought it was going to be a bit of a touch there between Tom Griffiths and Delmont. I think there was, actually, but Delmont... Tom Griffiths backed out of it very, very wisely. Trying to go on the outside of turn 3. It's a very brave move because it's easy to get sucked out on the outside line and hit the grass. Nothing as of yet. So Adam Delmont still maintaining the way. Has lost a position to Andy McEwen, however. And then we have got this train behind. There is the train that you can see. This is the battle for second, of which Andy McEwen has extended now to a half a second gap. You can just see, just going to the right-hand side of the timing tower there. And then Adam Delmont, Tom Griffiths, Adam McNally, James Neve and Casper de Court, of which Casper de Court is trying to make his way back through. He has lost 2 positions, started P5, currently running in P7. As they all Constantine up, starting the next lap. 10 minutes remaining of this lap. It will be 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Tom Griffiths has actually set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:14.37, fastest man out on track as it stands. So a very, very impressive drive there from Tom Griffiths. Oh, that was a bit of a Constantine effect. Who's gone off? Is that James Neve? James Neve has gone off as well. That's a bit of a shame. James Neve has lost a lot of position. He's going to lose to Craig Cockrell. Nick Clemens might even lose to Shane Piggott. Yes, he is. He might even lose to Lee Holmes. He's going to have a quick look around the outside. Oh, we can see James Neve pit it on the inside. He tries to, but he hasn't got enough. No, so James Neve has lost 6 positions in the space of about 200 yards. He's certainly going to be able to have to work out to make that up because he's got to go through a lot of drivers. And a lot of drivers that are not going to want to let him through lightly, bear in mind. So Matthews Logistics, number 7, has unfortunately had a small, well, I say a small moment. It was a small little error. It's turned into a big, big catastrophe for race number 1. Luckily, though, it does mean that there's 3 other races left to go for everyone. We see someone go off there. Who was that? I think that may have been... I couldn't quite see who that was, unfortunately. Jason Cooper is in... He's not in the pit lane. I'll tell you why that I thought he was in the pit lane is because what you'll find is a lot of drivers that run wide on the exit. So that'd be wide. And our timing software tells us when someone is doing that. Unfortunately, this is actually one of the questions. I'm going to have to try and ignore that as best I can because I'm sure this is going to be happening more often than not. Andy Thompson did make a move up the inside of Adam Mitchinson. Let's have a quick look at that. What happened here? I think, again, it was just going down into... There we go, yeah. So Andy Thompson just getting the drive on Anna Mitchinson and then managing to put it up the inside. There we go. Done and dusted. Cannot complain about that move whatsoever. It's opened, it's extended a little bit further down the field, though. You've got Harley Moss, Julian Schroer, Craig Shield, Mark Oliver, Fiona Siddons, Liam Simpson, Renato Campana. They've all sort of stagnated a little bit, and the gaps have sort of opened up. This will be why Renato Campana has dropped down some positions, though. That was a small little excursion. That has cost him a couple of seconds at minimum. And he is about 3 seconds behind Liam Stimpson. Frank Vestner, Brian Stewart, these guys are having a bit of a battle. Frank Vestner is currently leading the way for Brian Stewart. So Brian Stewart's only about 6-7 tenths behind. We've got Frank Vestner in the Pro-Am category and Brian Stewart in the Am category. However, as I mentioned, it does not mean too much out on circuit. It simply means that there is a championship for each of the 3 classes. Everyone is still going to be fighting for as many points as they can get. Does make for some cracking racing between the classes, which is what we like to see. Another battle up ahead that's a little bit close for comfort. Whoa, that was very, very close, isn't it? Was Simon Robson and James Clark. This is the battle that was kicking off. We joined at the right time, I think. So we have Simon Robson leading the way of James Clark at the moment. James Clark seems to have the upper hand on pace as it stands. Is that going to last? I don't really know. It's very, very hard to judge. We don't know. We're going to find out, obviously, after this first race, how everyone's going to progress and push forward. Is that going to mean that there's going to be something that's going to be of, you know, we're going to develop and everyone's going to develop. Oh, that was a big spin. Adam Delmont's had a spin. Adam Delmont has had a spin. Does he get going again? Yes, he does. But he has dropped all the way into P11. Might even drop into P12. James Neve is the next car that's going to possibly get him. Right on board with James Neve. There you go. You can see on the left-hand side. There is Adam Delmont. Is it going to be? I can't imagine that Delmont's going to lose another position. He's already lost 8. I cannot imagine he's going to want to lose another one. Craig Cockrell's gone off as well, along with Shane Piggott. What on earth happened there? I think Nick Clibbins has gone off as well. Lots and lots of carnage. All of a sudden has kicked off. Let's have a look at the replay here. Just going forward. So Nick Clibbins goes off. Oh, no. Team contact. Oh, dear. Well, that's not what you want, is it? I somehow think that Craig Cockrell got involved with that as well. Yes, he did. So Craig Cockrell and Nick Clibbins, teams are getting involved in some contact there. That's certainly not what you want. Frank Vestner, Douglas Stewart. Douglas Stewart still running a spooky Halloween theme, even though that Halloween is now past. But he's still being pressured by Frank Vestner at the moment, who is being pressured by Brian Stewart. So a nice three-way battle here. And do you know what? Harley Moss is actually a little bit not too far behind as well. There is Harley Moss. And Harley Moss has got 6.5 seconds between him and Julian Schroer. So that is a battle that's... it opened for a few moments. Oh, that was Frank Vestner's got a little bit wide. That means Brian Stewart's going to try and go through up the outside. That's a brave move by any stretch of the imagination. That is Brian Stewart that's made the move. Cracking move there. Very, very good stuff. I think, do you know what? We should probably try and see that again. That was absolutely fantastic. So Brian Stewart capitalises on the position. And there it is as you go through down into second to last complex of corners. Very, very good amount of space left by Frank Vestner. Let us not forget. And there we are. Done and dusted. Is Frank Vestner going to have the opportunity to get that move back? Harley Moss won't, because he's just moved that. He's outbraked himself. Going into turn 2s, that would have lost him a little bit. You can see there Frank Vestner is really trying to push, but nothing as of yet. He has to maintain that position. A little bit further up the field, though, battle for P11. We've got Michael Seal, Duncan Cope, Andy Thompson having a bit of a ding-dong here. Ooh, bit of a sideways there for both Duncan Cope and Andy Thompson. Trying to find a way past Michael Seal. It's the one thing with this track. You've got to be committed on the brakes, and if you're not, you will not be able to make positions up. This could be a good bit of commitment here. I thought Thompson was going to try and make a move up the inside of Duncan Cope, but no, he does not for the moment. We're going to ride on board with Andy Thompson just to see sort of what the slipstream is. Duncan Cope hasn't really got as much. And are we going to see some... We do see a little bit of pace come down now. It's only around about half a tenth at absolute most. So it's really, really not a lot. There you go. You can see a little bit of understeer push from Andy Thompson's car, but manages to settle it well. Number 31, Swift Cooper MX5, doing well to hold his own. Actually, Andy Thompson, obviously trying to push back through the field now. So Duncan Cope should be. I wonder if it's going to be something that he's going to try and dispatch the sooner rather than later. Any position is positions gained. Adam Delmont, another person that's trying to make up some positions as well. So Adam Delmont has just got the inside of Shane Piggott. So he is making moves. The 777 Excite Racing MX5. And the gap now 1.2 seconds up to Lee Holmes. Now Lee Holmes' last lap was a 1:15.43. Adam Delmont's last lap was a 1:15.27. Now my maths are right, and hopefully they are. Adam Delmont will not be able to catch up. However, let us not take into account, or let us not forget, traffic that we saw from Adam Delmont the last couple of laps. That would have cost him some time. Last laps for everyone. Lee Holmes was 1:15.1. Adam Delmont's last lap was 1:15.4. So the gap has come down. You can see it's coming down. It's just gone into the yellow. The yellow means it's under a second. The orange means it's under half a second. And I tell you what, Adam Delmont is really trying to push forward. Speaking of pushing forward as well, Casper de Court has managed to make his way up into P3. Oh, that was a bit of a send there. That was a tasty little send by Tom Griffiths. He's gone, no, thank you very much. I won that position. Andy McEwen's just sort of letting the battles happen ahead letting the battles happen behind, to be honest. He's just going to want to push forward. It's still side by side between Casper. Who has that gone off? That's Douglas Stewart that's gone off, so he won't be getting in the way of any driver here. And you know what? Tom Griffiths, hats off to you, sir. That was an absolutely cracking move going up to the, both inside, then the outside, then the inside. That happened in turn 4, and they were still side by side. It took about 6 corners to make it happen, but ultimately it has done. Adam McNally's decided that he wants to have a bit of a crack as well at Casper de Court, the Excite Racing car. Luke Cooper's not far behind as well. Fantastic battling here. Is this going to be the final lap? I'm not 100% sure. We may have an additional lap here, but we'll have to see. Adam McNally pushing forward. Tom Griffiths and Casper de Court once again go side by side. Casper de Court has to go around the outside, gets immediately shut off and gets pushed a little bit wide. I don't think really Tom Griffiths didn't do anything wrong there. He just pushed off a little bit, just took his normal race line. Casper de Court was forced around the long way round and ultimately had to concede the position. That has dropped the gap now to 0.2 of a second. Andy McEwen is 0.6 ahead. And this will be on for a P2 finishing position, something I'm sure Andy McEwen of which will be happy with. But it's not over yet, because Casper de Court, he's got to have some commitment here if he wants to try and make a move. Although I think it may be worth settling for 3rd place, settling for 4th place even, and just banking the points. Bit of a sideways moment for Tom Griffiths. That has cost him a little bit. Hasn't cost him too much, though. This should very well be. And you know what? No, the race was ended. So Jason Cooper is going to take the checkered flag. There we go. Checkered flag for Jason Cooper. Andy McEwen, 9 seconds behind this next battle. Andy McEwen takes a well-deserved P2 from a cracking race. Tom Griffiths, Casper de Court, and then Adam McNally are your top 5. We're going to run through the remainder of the grid in a few moments' time when everyone has crossed the line. Still battles up and down the field. Simon Robson just ahead of Adam Mitchell. And then Harley Moss coming through. Nothing's going to happen here realistically. Lim Silkstone is about 0.4 ahead. Harley Moss aggressive on the brakes. Tried to dive up. He's taken 0.2 out, bear in mind, but it's not going to be enough. So Silkstone managing to stay ahead. A few more drivers that will be finishing. And then we'll be able to take you through the final finishing grid. And also as well, what we've all been waiting for, what we all like to see, is the old spinning wheel, of which will be coming back. Here is the spinning wheel here. So we're going to spin. We're going to let everyone know what the reverse grid is for race number 2. And then we are going to crack on. So, race 1, done and dusted. I'm sure everyone was happy with that. There'll be some people that will be wanting a better race. They've got 3 more opportunities to do so. Let us spin the wheel and see what it is going to be. And it's a top 13 reverse grid. We're going to get who that will be and final confirmation for you in a few moments. But the top 13 as a reverse grid. Marvellous stuff indeed. Marvellous stuff indeed. Well, certainly race 1, it always throws up some interesting opportunities, doesn't it? Does it not? Again, arguably, we're going to have to see what comes of the next 3 races, but ultimately we have got, I think to be fair, a nice opportunity for some fantastic racing as always. Are we going to see anyone in for an interview? We might see some people in for an interview. I'm not 100% sure at the moment. But we will have to see. Is this going to be something that we're going to get people in for? Possibly, possibly not. We're just going to do a very, very quick check. And no, we are not. So, that is it for race number 1. Let's bring up the spinning wheel. Sorry, let's not bring up the spinning wheel. We've already done that. Let's bring up the results instead for your first round and your first race. Here we go then. Jason Cooper taking the overall race win by 9 seconds. What a dominant race from Jason Cooper. Andy McEwen up into second with Tom Griffiths in P3. Casper DeCourt fourth. Adam McNally in P5 with Luke Cooper in P6. Lee Holmes takes 7th. Adam Delmont takes P8. James Neve P9 with Shane Piggott rounding out your top 10. Lars Fisher is 11th. Michael Steele is in P12. Duncan Cope 13th. Andy Thompson in 14th. Simon Robson 15th. Anna Mitchinson 16th. Craig Cockrell in 17th with James Clark in P18. Brian Stewart takes P19 with Liam Silkston. Rounds out your top 20. Harley Moss 21st. Douglas Stewart 22nd. Julian Schroer 23rd. Fiona Simmons 24th. Liam Stimpson 25th. Mark Oliver in 26th. And then we have Nick Clemens and Frank Vesna finishing a lap down in 27th and 28th. Renato Campana, Craig Schill, Ryan Main, Glenn Humberstone, and Sam Smith are your final drivers. Unfortunately, finishing more than 1 lap down, some of them, so they will not be scoring any points for race number 1. Looking forward to race 2 then with a top 13 reverse grid. That will mean Duncan Cope should be on pole position for race number 2. We are going to take a short break in a few moments' time, and then we will hopefully be back, all being well, for race number 2 very, very soon. And we're going to see some more absolutely fantastic action that we are used to seeing here at British Sim Racing. Make sure you don't go anywhere. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, anything you would like to leave and discuss in the chat, then please do let us know and just pop it in the comments and we can have a look at it for you. But yes, don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll be back in a few moments' time. Hello everyone and welcome back to race number 2 of round 9 of the BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy. We had a cracking race 1, we're going to have a cracking race 2 again, I am sure. We're going to bring you the grid in a few moments time and then we are going to crack on. We are going to be joined hopefully by Mr. Jack Oliphant for the final couple of races, which will be fantastic because my voice is already starting to go. I believe Ed used to do this every single time as a solo act a couple of seasons ago, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's just credits. Credit where credit is due because my throat is certainly not up for the challenge. But like I said, luckily, we are going to get Jack Oliphant to be joining us in a few moments' time. The grid is coming up for you, though, for the second race. And here it is. Duncan Cope, as we mentioned earlier on, is starting on pole position. Michael Sill is second, Lars Fisher in third, Shane Piggott fourth, James Neve in P5, Adam Delmont sixth, Lee Holmes in seventh with Luke Cooper in P8. Adam McNally takes P9 with Casper de Court in P10. And we're going to run you through the remainder of the grid. So here we go. Ready for race number 2. 31 cars on the grid. And it's going to be a very, very cracking start indeed. And here we are. Everyone get ready to go. Lights are on, about to go out. What start can Duncan Cope get? You can see everyone, and here we are, underway. Nice quick getaway from the final lights to go on. I tell you what, though, Michael Seal got a very, very good run. The gap is coming down already, so Michael Seal is going to get the inside straight away of the number 197 of Duncan Cope. It's going to go possibly 3 wide. Look at that. Lars Fisher's getting involved as well. 3 wide. Is it going to work? No, it doesn't. Actually, no, it does. Oh, my goodness. Lars Fisher has decided that he wants to go into the lead early doors. Fair play to Lars Fisher. He's just decided, and that's the thing, and I'm sure he's not going to be too fussed with it at all. Duncan Cope and Michael Seal aren't going to be too fussed, and they're not going to be particularly happy. Adam Delmont's going to have a bit of a look up the inside. Oh, bit of contact there. Who was that? I might have been Annie McEwen that got involved. I think it was. Everyone manages to still go and move forward. Casper de Court is trying to move up the field as well. So is Andy Thompson. Luke Cooper. Jason Cooper's already up 3, positioned into P10. Thompson versus Casper de Court. Who is going to come out on top here? Going through down into turn 5. It is going to be Thompson for the moment. Casper de Court gets hung out to dry. So Thompson maintaining that lead currently. Julian Schroer's had a bit of a moment that we can see. He's lost a couple of positions. Ryan Main is having a bit of a look. Julian Schroer still losing more position. That's because Julian Schroer is there. So Brian Stewart now just the last person to get by, and then Douglas Stewart follows him down. Lars Fisher, look at the gap he has produced already. That is absolutely astounding. Genuinely, that is absolutely ridiculous. But Duncan Cope's getting pressured very, very heavily now from Michael Seal. Like I said, a tricky corner to overtake on his turn 1, but he goes for a look up the inside. Does Michael Seal trying to upset the balance of Duncan Cope? Does he? No, he does not. It's getting very, very close though already. Cracking stuff indeed from drivers here. It's exactly what we like to see. This is absolutely marvellous. I'm so glad that we've got this race in the hand. I still cannot get over what Lars Fisher did. Craig Schill has just passed Ryan Main, but Ryan Main is going to try and have a look back on Craig Schill. Does he? Yes, he does. So Craig Schill has to now defend quite heavily from Brian Stewart, who's having a bit of a ding dong now. This battle, I say a battle, it's more of though the entire train of cars just a little bit further up ahead. Normally would have seen it conquer it out. Someone spun there. That's Mark Oliver. He's had a moment. Where did that happen? Let's have a quick look. It's going through down into turn 4. Is it going to be a little bit too aggressive on the throttle? I think it might be. Yeah, a little bit too aggressive on the throttle over the curbs. And that sent the car round. Andy McEwen, Adam Thompson. Whoa, big moment. Andy McEwen has actually, he still stayed where he started in P12. He finished second in the first race, started P12 in the second. He is trying to make some moves up. Douglas Stewart and Liam Silkson have both had an incident a little bit further down the order. Glenn Humberston is sitting there as well. You can just see a little bit. I think he's dropped a couple of, actually no, he hasn't. He's up 13 places. So Glenn Humberston is made up an incredible number of spaces here. A little bit further though, Michael Seal. Oh, this is a battle here. Duncan Cope is getting, he's leaving everyone in the distance as well, to be honest. So Michael Seal goes up the inside. And that is a move done and dusted. Adam Delmont is trying to make a move through, but so is James Neve. James Neve's going to try and go up the inside. No, he's going to try and go on the outside, sorry. So Delmont manages to make a position, and he passes James Neve for P4. Another person in front of Adam Delmont's size is Michael Seal. And this battle here, like I said, this is the battle. Have a look at this. We're going to blimp cam. Look at that for a train of cars. Oh my goodness. This is one hell of a train. This is the battle, apparently, for P7, but it's actually the battle more for, like, P3. Speaking of which, because Adam Delmont's going to have another look around the outside of Michael Seal this time. I think Michael Seal had a bit of a slow getaway coming out of the final couple of corners, so that has released Adam Delmont. And now Adam Delmont is going to be trying to catch up after Duncan Cope. I don't think that's what Duncan Cope would have wanted. Duncan Cope would have wanted Michael Seal to have hold him up a little bit more, but that is not the case. What has happened to Jason Cooper? Jason Cooper is sitting there around about his P9. He's trying to make some moves forward, but I don't think it's going to be anything as it stands at the moment. Andy McEwen and Casper DeCourt are going to go side by side. So Andy McEwen trying to make the move. He's going to be hung out to dry on the outside line later. A later break in the Casper DeCourt tries to take the long way around. Can't quite do it, so he gets now stopped. But we have Luke Cooper that was a little bit slow, so Casper DeCourt tries to go up the inside. He manages to go up the inside. Is Andy McEwen going to follow him through? He's certainly going to try. And I think, do you know what? He's going to give it a good old go. Going through turn 5. They're going to be side by side. Luke Cooper on the outside. Andy McEwen on the inside. They're still side by side. This is going to be playing the hands. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Oh, a little bit of contact as well. They both managed to go in a straight line. Unfortunately, a bit of a racing incident. Two cars don't fit into one space. But they all managed to go through. That does mean, unfortunately, Andy McEwen drops straight back down the order. Certainly something that he would not have wanted. That is a real shame. Shane Piggott is currently running in P5, doing a very respectable job indeed. Adam Delmont has already got past Duncan Cope. Duncan Cope has lost a considerable amount of time there, so he is now 600. It's going to be side by side, but I feel it's going to be Adam Delmont commanding the P2 position, and there it is. Duncan Cope realising that Adam Delmont is certainly going to fight that, and then playing the long game, letting it happen. Lee Holmes, though, has just made up a position on Adam McNally, but Adam McNally is going to try and pass straight back again up the inside. Does Adam McNally go? Does he make the position? He's going to have it. Yes, he does. That is possibly going to release Jason Cooper. I believe it might release Jason Cooper. Jason Cooper tries to go up the inside of Lee Holmes. Can't quite do it, though. Now running on board with Jason Cooper. 6 minutes have already gone of this race, and we've got plenty more action to go. You can just see the different line adjustments. Jason Cooper loses a bit of time on the entry, but gains a bit more time on the exit because he's able to carry a slightly better corner momentum through the latter half of the corner. Although saying that, he has lost a bit of time. He can still see. I mean, Lars Fisher is gone at this point. Lars Fisher has absolutely disappeared. He is well off into the distance. He's 5 seconds clear. And he's currently running a 1:15.28. Although Adam Delmont, last lap was his fastest. He put in a 1:15.10. Jason Cooper, can he make a move up the inside of... He might very well do. Casper DeCourt trying to get involved as well. You can just see in the background. Nothing as of yet. Someone's gone a bit wide, though. Who was that? Couldn't quite see who that was. That's Shane Piggott. So Shane Piggott's going to lose... No, it's not. It's Duncan Cope. Duncan Cope was running really well in P3. He's now dropped down into... What's that? P11 now. So a very slow start. A very slow getaway out of the exit at turn 1. That has cost him big time. That has, in fact, however, moved everyone else up. But realistically, Adam Delmont is now sort of clear and sort of moving forward. Lars Fisher is still that 5 seconds clear up the road. Jason Cooper rummaging around, currently in P6 overall. A little bit further down, Luke Cooper and Mitchinson have a good old battle as well. Mitchinson 2/10 just up ahead. I mean, the gap is negligible at this point. It's simply just when there is a position to be gained, then you push forward. So we do have a little bit of a... Some drivers go through a little bit of a breathing room here, to be fair. You see some drivers go through a bit of breathing. And then others you do tend to find as well that they're always just trying to be a little bit aggressive in some scenarios, and then a little bit... conservative in others. Again, it really depends on, a lot of the time the driver has to, You've always got to pick your battles wisely, but there's certainly a lot of battles going on here. Meanwhile, Andy McEwen back up and now into P13. So he now moves forward. And he has, that position for Brandon Mitchinson, and he's now going to try. Next person on his radar is Luke Cooper. Andy McEwen, excuse me, has got past Luke Cooper once. He might try and get past him again here. No, he decides against it. So this is what the contact that was made. I'm sure there's no love lost between these two drivers. Is it going to be a similar thing? Someone's had a bit of a moment. Couldn't quite see who that was. I think James Neve has dropped a couple of positions. Andy Thompson's actually gone off. What's happened to Andy Thompson? You just see a cloud of smoke there. And that's because Andy Thompson has gone off. You can just see his car just in the background. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. But meanwhile, we're going to stick on board with Andy McEwen, the number 4 for the year 1 race. And he's going to get sandwiched into just this conglomerate of cars, and it's currently being led by Simon Robson. Adam McNally, oh my goodness, what is going on? A little bit further back as well. Have a look at that. Brian Stewart, Ryan Main. Oh, that was with Lee Holmes that's had a moment. Lee Holmes has had a spin. Didn't look like there was any contact. Looks like just got involved a little bit too aggressively. It's just a sea of cars. It's very, very difficult to pick a camera angle that works well. Andy McEwen, he's just about up the inside of James Neve. There we go. Is he going to be followed by Luke Cooper up the inside of James Neve as well? Luke Cooper's going to have a bit of a look. Tries to go up the inside. Yes, he does indeed. But that means he's going to be on the outside going into turn 3. So that is going to cost him significantly. And as we see, so Andy McEwen is just sort of upped into the distance. He's now currently got about half a second on the pair of James Neve and Luke Cooper. And then leading this big train now is Andy McEwen technically, but he's got half a second. He's got a little bit more of a breathing space. Got a little bit of breathing space over James Neve, who's only a couple of tenths ahead of Luke Cooper. A little bit further down the order, we've got Tom Griffiths battling with Ryan Main, Craig Cockrell. Obviously, this is the battle for, simply only a few cars down with Brian. Whoa, bit of a tap there from Brian Stewart on the back of Simon Robson's car. A little bit naughty there. I'd say one person that's gone involved with that, though, Ryan Main, he's made up a position straight away. He's certainly not leaving anything on the table. Fair play indeed. He might even try and make a move up the inside of Simon Robson. No, he does not this time around. Up the front of the field, though, or near the front of the field, this is the battle for P3. Shane Piggott is getting pressured quite heavily by Michael Seal and Casper de Court, but Casper de Court and Michael Seal, they're really having a good old battle. Currently being led. Jason Cooper's all of a sudden just stormed through, so Jason Cooper has got past Michael Seal. And now it's going to be Jason Cooper versus Shane Piggott. Adam Delmont and Lars Fisher at this point have just disappeared off into the distance. The gap is 6 seconds, but there is still a podium position on the cards for any one of these drivers here. I mean, arguably there's a position, there's a win potentially if something were to happen. Obviously we don't want it to, but anything can happen in the BSR MX5s. We know that. So Michael Seal, the number 57, just holding his own currently from Casper de Court. We're going to ride on board again with Jason Cooper in a few moments to see what happens. This is a move, possibly. This is a brave move going down into the final 2 corners. Oh, just about leaves enough room, does Shane Piggott. They're going to be side by side. Shane Piggott dives late on the brakes. It's going to be too late. Is he going to try and get the cutback? He tries to, but it's not going to be enough. There's not enough grip on the outside, and it goes off camber. He might even lose another position of Michael Seal, potentially. But I'll tell you what, Casper de Court is deciding that he wants to give it a go. He's going to go up the inside of Michael Seal. Shane Piggott's 4 tenths ahead. Jason Cooper's 2 tenths ahead of that. It's going to be 2 by 2, side by side between Casper de Court and Michael Seal. Oh, big moment there. Very committed. Big statement there on the brakes for Casper de Court. He decided that he was going to get by regardless of what Michael Seal wanted to do. A very big staple there. Battle still continuing happening up and down the field, one of which Frank Vestner and Craig Shield, they're having a good old battle a little bit further down. And currently Frank Vestner is on the on the heels of Craig Schill, trying to get by, but no move presents itself at the moment. So the 333 is going. The gap is close. It's not mega close, but it is certainly close that a small little possible mistake from Craig Schill is going to open the door absolutely 100%. Again, back to this battle here. We've got, that's a bit of a send. Oh, that was a tiny little bit of a send there from Adam McNally. He tried to give it, tried to have a go up the inside of Michael Seal, but couldn't quite do it. You have to give it a go in some instances like that, otherwise you are simply never going to overtake. So, especially with how close this grid is, you've just got to really try it at some point. 2 minutes to go, less than 2 minutes to go, 1 minute 55. And then it is going to be leading out into race 3. The battles of, up ahead, they've stagnated a little bit looking at it. They're sort of around about. Jason Cooper still pulled out half a second on Shane Piggott, and that gap doesn't seem to be extending all that much as it stands, or not extending as much as I thought it was going to be. If the case, it's just gone up to around 0.7 of a second, but that is simply because I believe that Casper de Court is pressuring the back of Shane Piggott. And then as we go through, what's happening here? This is, I tell you what's happening here. That was a big incident. Who was that? Was it Glenn Humberstone? Yes, it was. Let's have a quick look at this here. Again, just a little bit of contact. To be fair, it was very, very hard to tell what happened there, to be perfectly honest. As we go through, let's have a quick look here. So Glenn Humberstone, does he get just a little bit too late? No, so he gets on the brakes early enough. He gets a push. He gets a push round. I wonder if that was from Ryan Main. I believe it was. So that may very well indeed be a penalty. A bit of a shame there, but either way, here comes Lars Fischer. He is now on the final lap here. 45 seconds left on the clock. And look at that, he has got a 5-second gap up to Adam Delmont. A very, very dominant drive from the number 107 5-star Motorsport. So, if Lars Fischer wins this, that would be 2 drivers and a 5-star Motorsport first win, a 50% win ratio for this round already. And they will have 2 more races left to go. But obviously, the reverse grids certainly throw a spanner into the works. Shane Piggott still running in P4, doing a very respectable job indeed. Casper de Court trying to get through. Michael Seal and Adam McNally are finally, I tell you what, Adam McNally's through. He's made the move up the inside of Michael Seal. And there we go. Here comes Lars Fischer. 1 more corner to go for the final time. And there we are. Lars Fischer from the number 107 5-star Motorsport driver takes race number 2 victory here. Are we going to see, Michael Seals had a bit of a moment, are we going to see Casper de Court? There is the last minute lunge, the last minute send. Is it going to be enough? Shane Piggott tries to hold it around the outside. No, he can't. Does he get a cutback? It's not going to be enough. The gap is 2.5 of a second. No, so Casper de Court, last minute lunge and last lap, last corner lunge takes P4 in the end. Very respectable driving. Nevertheless, what happened to Michael Seal? Let's have a quick look at this while we have a few more drivers coming across the line. So Michael Seal, does he just taps the grass on the outside. Such a shame. Such a shame. What on earth happened there? We need to have a look at that replay, actually. We definitely need to have a look at that replay. Sam Robson, Craig Cockrell, they're having a... they were coming off very, very close to one another. Right, let's have a look quickly at what happened between Adam Mitchison, Brian Stewart, and obviously Michael Seal. There's Michael Seal. Side by side, did Adam Mitchinson and Brian Stewart go. The gap between them was less than half a tenth. And it's really difficult. There you go. So it was Adam Mitchinson that just took it from Brian Stewart by 0.02 of a second. Absolutely madness. Absolutely madness. Wow. What a race we were treated to there. We do have the spinning wheel to go through, and then we'll be running through your reverse grid. So here we go. Let us spin the wheel and see what it is going to be. And then we're going to be able to push forward into the top 17. So not the biggest we have seen, not the smallest we have seen. So a top 17. Fantastic stuff. We are delighted to announce that as of race number 3, we'll be joined by Jack Oliphant, which is going to be fantastic. And it will allow me to bounce off of someone, which has been fantastic. So, top 17 will be the reverse grid for your race number 3. And that is going to be... We had a top 13 last race. This is going to be obviously a top 16... a top 17 this time around. So, you know, something that we're seeing a bit of average. I think everyone knows these sort of positions. You know, I mean, to be fair, the positions have changed. We're going to run through the finishing position now and give you that confirmation on the finishing results. And, in fact, coming up for you now. And here we are, Lars Fischer taking out another very dominant win for the 5-star Motorsport team with 5 seconds on Adam Delmont. Another very impressive drive there. So Adam Delmont in P2. Jason Cooper taking 2 podiums out of the 4 potential ones here, with then Casper de Court teammate in P4. Shane Piggott, a very respectable drive in P5, with Adam McNally in 6th. Andy McEwen 7th. with a fantastic recovery drive, all things considered. James Neve in P8, Luke Cooper 9th, Michael Steele in P10. Adam Mitchell in 11th, Brian Stewart 12th, Tom Griffiths in P13, Lee Holmes in 14th, Craig Cockrell 15th, Sam Robson in P16, Ryan Main in 17th, with Craig Schill in P18. Frank Vestner, P19, Glenn Humberstone 20th, Nick Clibbins 21, Mark Oliver 22nd, Renato Campana in 23rd, Fiona Sims in P24, Andy Thompson unfortunately finishing 5 laps down, as did Liam Silkston, Duncan Cope, who finished 6 laps down, and then Harley Moss, who finished 7 laps down. And then we have there Julian Schroer, Douglas Stewart and James Clark, your final few drivers of race number 2. We are once again going to take a short break, and then we will come back for race number 3 here of round number 9 of the BSR MX5 trophy. Make sure you stick around, don't go anywhere. Half the event has gone, another half to go, and it's going to be fantastic either way. Stick around.
Green.
Hello everyone, and we are back for race number 3 here at Oran Park Raceway. I am now delighted to say that I am joined by Jack Oliphant. Jack, how are you doing? Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, not bad, Dan. Yeah, just jumped off my other commentary duty for this evening. Otherwise, I would have been here from the start, of course. But very glad. Oran Park has always served up exciting racing in BSR, no matter how many times you come here and how many seasons you come here. It seems to be ever one of the most exciting tracks. Little, twisty, windy, very much basically a go-kart track. I remember it's one of the favourites of mine and Ed, so I'm sure he'll be gutted that he's missing it today. But I'm glad I'm here to bask in all its glory.
Certainly so, yes. But it's also, the fact that you'll be taking over a little bit of the commentary duties from myself because my throat could not contain that excitement for the next 2 races. We are going to bring you the grid for race number 2 here. So we have Ryan Main will be taking your pole position. We're going to run through the top 10 quickly. So Robson, Craig Cockrell is your man in P3. Lee Holmes 4th. Tom Griffiths in P5. Brian Stewart 6th. Adam Mitchinson 7th. Michael Sill in P8. Luke Cooper in 9th. And then James Neve in P10. And then we're going to run through the remainder of the grid for you now. But again, fantastic circuit. One of my personal favourites as well, actually, the more and more that I've driven it. It just provides some fantastic racing, doesn't it, Jack? No matter what car you drive.
I think it's obviously there's a mix of little bits of everything, to be honest. There's a really long, nice straight that you can get that draft assistance into T1 and T2 specifically, obviously, with that sharp braking zone into T2. The exit, the final corner of the exit of the final corner, I should say, it's quite tricky as well. And realistically, if you're overtaking someone through there, it can be a touch difficult. But we'll see what they have in store for us.
We certainly will. Lights come on now. Ryan May, the man on pole. What is the jump going to be? And we are away. Puff of smoke from all the drivers, but we now get underway for race number 3. Seems to be a good start. One person that didn't get a very good start is Tom Griffiths. He's already dropped a couple of positions. But Ryan May manages to maintain the lead going through into turn 1. Quite a sizable lead, actually, around about 0.2 of a second. More than we have seen before. As we go through turn 1, everyone manages to get through okay. A bit of side-by-side action as we are normally able to see. So Tom Griffiths is trying to get ahead of James Neve, but James Neve tries to go around the outside. Is it going to be something that he's going to manage to do? I don't think so, no. And in fact, he actually might lose a position to Anna McNally. He's going to have a look up the inside. You can just see there Annie McEwen getting involved. Shane Piggott's behind there as well. It's really starting to kick off in that little battle. Casper DeCourt just behind everyone. He's trying to push through really quite aggressively, naturally as you would do. He's getting kind of out to dry a little bit by Shane Piggott and manages to maintain his P13. Jason Cooper, teammate, just behind. So we're going to have to see these drivers working through quite heavily now because the top 13 was the initial grid and now it's top 17. So both Jason Cooper, Casper DeCourt, etc. are now starting a little bit further back, which is not ideal. What's happened? Annie McEwen, Adam Mitchinson and James Neve. Adam McNally's just ahead there. They're all having a bit of a battle. Oh, Annie McEwen was close. Was he close? Getting a bit of a tap there from James Neve, and that's caused James Neve to lose about 2 or 3 positions. He's lost a position to Shane Piggott. It's going to be James Cooper as well that's going to try and get by, and then Casper DeCourt is also going to get by as well. Adam Delmont might have a bit of a look as well. Are they going to go 3 wide going into turn 1? Not 100% sure. Let's have a quick look. No, they're going to go 2 by 2 instead. Shane Piggott, Jason Cooper, Casper DeCourt, and then Adam Delmont. Going to go side by side. They're still side by side. They are going to settle into single file, I'd imagine, going into turn 3. As we see there. Yeah, well, we might see Casper DeCourt try and have a dive and look up the inside. You can tell distinctively the 2 cars because Jason Cooper is running the gold roll cage. That's from a championship win last season. But no, all is maintained and Jason Cooper manages to keep ahead of Casper DeCourt for the moment. Wow, Jack. Well, opening couple of laps already. Very short circuit, but my God, it suits these cars.
It does, but it doesn't suit that kind of contact, does it? As Adam Neve, James Neve, not Adam Neve, goes off. Is that Nicholas Clibbins or is that? I feel it is Nicholas Clibbins, unfortunately, and I think Shane Piggott's had a little bit of an incident further up as well. Cooper and Seal swapping positions quite nicely, but there is Liam Silkstone in the wall as well as another driver is trying to rejoin, hopefully a safe rejoin, because the last thing we need is more contact, and I think that's Holmes. So yeah, there has been plenty of contact, but I was just remarking basically at how close these drivers are as they go in, hopefully avoiding contact now. This is all very close. And I think that was Oliver and Stewart. Siddon's taking a little bit of an advantage of them. So yeah, race 3, reverse grid. People starting to get desperate for their good positions. Race 1 and 2 may not have gone their way. They're hoping to claw back some places. It doesn't always come off, as we see another driver off in the first corner as well. I think that's Thompson as he cascades down the order and jumps to the pit lane. So that is a bit of a shame for him. But we can see Neve and Stewart now trying to get back on course. But there's a huge fight going on. Not necessarily for P1, because Ryan Main has got a massive lead. Not necessarily for P2 either, although that is pretty much a train all the way down to 19th place, which is quite incredible to say, isn't it? But not incredible if you're a regular follower of the BSR. Pretty much always like this. As here comes Liam Cooper up the inside of Adam McNally, who just about cuts across the front end, but not well enough as Adam McNally flies off the circuit. Luckily, he doesn't hit a wall or anything, but that is really going to hurt his chances at pushing up into this P2 or even P5 positions. They're going 2x2 through the last corner, but it's not happening just yet. But Kitchenson in 11th place.
Certainly so. Ryan Main is 4 seconds up the road. A very, very dominant start to this race. We are seeing a couple of different changes as well. I mean, Adam McNally, such a big shame there. Just got on the pad a little bit too soon. Still a little bit cold tyres. That would be the cause of that. Here comes Adam Delmont being pressured by Harley Moss. Harley Moss flies it up the inside. And is it going to be? Yes, it is. So Harley Moss up the inside of Adam Delmont. Cracking move there from the Pro-Am driver. And again, we've seen some really good performances from Harley Moss in this season. And certainly we're going to see another good performance again. Wasn't able to finish the last race. Hopefully this can be certainly something different. Yeah, as you say, you know, it's... we've got some great battling up and down the field. It doesn't need to be for P1. Oh, Craig Shields had a moment. Was that Adam McNally as well? I think it may have been. Let's have a quick look at this. What happened here? So going forward into turn 3. So there is off the grass. And there's a spin. Manages to sort of keep it going, to be fair, on the on the slip road. And then as they come through, just rejoins. Oh, just rejoins, unfortunately, at the wrong moment. Unfortunately, Adam McNally. And Adam McNally has jumped to the pits. That is Adam McNally's race over. So just the wrong time to join, unfortunately. So a bit of a shame there. Meanwhile, Michael Silla's trying to have a look at the inside of Jason Cooper. Sorry, around the outside of Jason Cooper. Jason Cooper, is he going to make it up the inside? Yes, he is. So that is Jason Cooper. I think Jason Cooper had a bit of a moment, to be fair. Dropped a couple of positions. Not 100% sure why. But Jason Cooper up the inside.
Sure you're not thinking of Liam Cooper?
I'm thinking of Luke Cooper. That's what I'm thinking of Luke Cooper.
Mistake, yeah, I made that mistake last week, didn't I? Quite a few times. But of course, Luke Cooper. See, I'm even getting it wrong now. Luke Cooper's actually fighting with Andy McEwen. You can see Andy has dropped back just a touch now as Cooper sets his sights on Tom Griffith in 3rd position. Ryan Main and Craig Cockrell doing a fantastic job. Both Pro-Am drivers keeping ahead of these Pro drivers, but they have all pretty much gained at least 5 positions. Tom Griffith's gaining 2 as Andy McEwen steps to the back end out onto the grass. It hurts him a little bit as Shane Piggott is sniffing around trying to hope for better days as well. As Jason Cooper overtakes Simon Robson, that is. It's all getting a bit mixed up, all getting a little bit tighter at the front end as the top 5 has pulled, top 6, shall I say, have pulled away. But apart from that, it is nose to tail. Example, Michael Seal, Casper de Court, and this is going to be 3 wide into T1. A very fast flowing left-hander before you hit the brakes on an angled down a couple of gears and flow it into the circuit. And I have to say, Dan, that was very well done that they didn't hit each other.
It was certainly so. Everyone giving each other just about enough room. Casper de Court and Lars Fritz, the 5-star motorsport drivers, are being currently split by Michael Seal, who is holding his own at the moment in P10. We have seen, again, Craig Cockrell is around about 2/10 in front of Tom Griffith. So that may be a battle that might start happening, might start kicking up a little bit, because we may see, coming into the second half of this race, for race number 3, are we going to see a little bit of just some additional... I don't know. I think the aggression maybe turned up a little bit here. People might start making a few more moves sort of here and there. We will have to see. A little bit further down, though, we've got Frank Vest and Duncan Cope, Harley Moss and Julian Schroer all having a nice little battle here. That was Frank Vester going a little bit, just a touch wide. That's cost him would have cost him a little bit of time, not too much, though. Is it going to be Harley Moss? Tries to go up the inside. Oh, that's a last-minute lunge. Oh, a bit of contact. That was always going to be a bit more contact between the two of them. But I think Harley Moss, unfortunately, will have to give that position up. And do you know what? Julian Schroer's gone. Thank you very much, chaps. He's going to set up the inside. Might even set up the inside of Duncan Cope. We will have to see. But Harley Moss is now, having tried to gain a position, he has ended up losing one instead. So he's got to make that time up all over again. Jack, from your perspective, I mean, Oran Park, sadly, like I was saying earlier on, it's not actually there anymore, isn't it? But what still astounds me is V8 supercars used to race here.
I know, it's a very tight and twisty track, but I think V8 supercars would actually quite like that, wouldn't it? It's basically an extreme version of touring cars, essentially, and they just love hitting 12 bells out of each other. Yeah, it's a shame that it's no longer active, but at least we get to enjoy it here on the sim, and I suppose that's another massive advantage of simulating racing, isn't it? I mean, it might not have exactly the same thrill as getting out there in real life, but to be honest, you can't get out there in real life around Oran Park anymore, so why not enjoy it on the sim and enjoy it for what it is, which is a fantastic tight and twisty track. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the Australian Alton Park. It's, you know, it's difficult, it's undulating, it's a bit of a historic one as well, and to be honest, it's just good fun. So these MX5s, they absolutely suit it down to a T. I'm not sure I'd like to shift a V8 supercar around here, but to be honest, an MX5 is plenty quick enough for me, as a lot of these drivers will have raced me a couple of times at the VS. I did a couple of guest rounds about, I don't know, 6 months ago, and that was terrible. So I really can't drive, apparently, in the simulator. So, yeah, anything more powerful than an MX5 would not suit me at all.
Well, there we go. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise
I jumped on a couple of times, I think, before ASR took over the broadcasting, and it didn't suit me very well, shall we say.
Did it not go well?
It did not. I'm nowhere near as quick as the likes of you and Ed, unfortunately, which is why I haven't embarrassed myself by featuring more often on it. It's actually the reason why I started commentating as well. I really liked being involved in sim racing, but I just was no good in actually racing, and I was embarrassed throughout, so I decided, if I can't do it, I might as well talk about it. It could be worse, couldn't it? McEwen has been overtaken by Cooper as well, so McEwen slipped down to 7th, although we are focusing on a battle here between Moss, Clark, Silkstone, Holmes and Clibbins, all nice and close to each other. So Holmes flies up the inside of Silkstone, who of course all these drivers ended up with a little bit of damage at the front end, at the start of this race. And as we hit 10 minutes, it shows that they're all still enjoying themselves, hopefully, out there as they go 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah, we say in commentary. As they're going to go 3 wide, that's where we clench and don't quite say hurrah. We sort of cross our fingers and hope for the best. There's inevitably a little bit of contact, but to be fair, they've all kept it really nice and clean. Fair play to them.
Certainly, we're seeing some good battles sort of every now and up and down the field, which is absolutely fantastic to see. I thought Lee Holmes was having I thought he was going to have to be taking the defensive line from Liam Silkstone, who's really trying to push forward as well. Arguably, though, Liam Holmes is holding off and fending off about sort of, that's 4 cars, realistically. We may start seeing Liam Silkstone and Nick Clibbin start battling. It's one of those things you sort of tend to find that drivers will start to battle for, they'll start to sort of let people crack on, see if they can overtake and pull each other along. If that isn't the case, then they start to try and make moves themselves. That maybe is that might be what we're trying to see, and what we're going to see a little bit later down the line. Jason Cooper's move, I was just trying to find a replay of that, but I can't seem to find it. I can't seem to find Jason Cooper's move. In fact, I think maybe here it is. Yes, this is it. That'll be why the move was there, because Andy McEwen touched the grass. I mean, fair play, didn't spin. That's very easy to do. It seemed that almost the saving grace of that was touching the front of the car on the grass as well as the rear, so it just sort of like both front and rear tyres lost traction at the same time. Something's happened. That's a little bit of a slow exit on the last corner for James Neve. Probably just a little bit wide, one would imagine. So that is Renato Campana now going through, and Douglas Stewart following suit. So James Neve tries to go up the inside. And actually, he's going to have to dart to the outside because Douglas Stewart is cutting off the inside. That's a little bit too deep. Oh, that's opened the door wide there for James Neve. He sails through, goes, thank you very much. Done and dusted. Coming into the final few moments of this race. And then a little bit further up the field, the mid-pack now, Michael Seal versus Simon Robson. Simon Robson is on the heels. Can't quite make anything stick as it stands. Now riding on board with Simon Robson for the Simtech Pro Am car. And Michael Seal for the BSR number 57. It's going to be a little bit of a lift there from Simon Robson. So we're sort of, I think, deciding deciding which way to go, but almost couldn't quite make his mind up. I think, to be fair, Michael Seal put his car in exactly the right place for that.
Yeah, it was really good defensive driving, to be honest, by Michael Seal. He did have his car right in the right place, but I had to give credit to Simon Robson for not just flying into the back of him. I was thinking there when he was taking that wider line, which will obviously help throw another 5 miles an hour through the first corner before hitting the braking zone for T2. Just thinking this could go really quite badly wrong, but Robson had fantastic racing respect there to just blend off the throttle just a touch, knowing exactly what was going to happen. And I have to say, I don't think there aren't many dirty drivers in the BSR. I think I've learned that. There are a few drivers with mistakes up their sleeves. I thought we were about to see one as I was talking about it. But I think a lot of people, the thing you learn as soon as you join this championship, you know, you make a lot of mistakes, but you do learn how to race in a pack and how to race in a low downforce car. It aids you in that sort of a learning curve, I suppose, because in a high downforce car, you wouldn't be able to follow this closely. You wouldn't have any idea how to do it. And so it's a really good learning curve for a lot of drivers. Coopers are now 4th and 5th, but Piggott being overtaken by Jason. So both Coopers into the top 5. Really good showing by those drivers at the moment. Ryan Main has been caught hand over fist, by the way. There was a 4-second gap at one point in race lead. He's now been chopped down to just over 2/10. So Tom Griffiths catching up to the 66 year 1 driver of Ryan Main. Cockrell in 3rd place, about a second and a half down, but you can guarantee that if these two start fighting, they'll be right there. But to be honest, we've only got 10 seconds left, Dan, and before the white flag drops, or until actually potentially the end of the race. I'm not entirely sure which one's going to come first, but Ryan May is just about holding off Tom Griffiths as they turn around the final corner for the final time. This is the last lap. Griffiths throwing everything at it. It's going to be a track race, but I think it's just about going to be Ryan May. Where's the finish line? It's not coming soon enough. It has come soon enough. Ryan May giving just an MX5's width between himself and the tyre wall. Griffiths finishes half a tenth behind him, and I tell you what, I'm so glad I logged on. Cockrell in 3rd, Cooper in 4th, Cooper in 5th, Piggott in 6th, McEwen, DeCourt, Fisher, Robson round out the top 10 as Michael Seal goes stage exit left once he's crossed the line. And I tell you what, that's probably because he wants to get home and watch the finish there between Main and Griffiths as quickly as possible.
Certainly so. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic to watch. Fair play indeed from Ryan Main. That was a very, very good performance. And I believe that may have been Ryan Main's first win. Not 100% sure. But that may very well be. That may very well be the time there. Douglas Stewart has a bit of a celebratory moment there. Oh, wow. Oh, what a race. What a race. Fantastic. And it's great to be able to have you along as well, Jack, for commentary duties. It's absolutely fantastic. Before we get cracking, though, let us do the spinning wheel just to make sure we can give everyone the opportunity to get everything all set up. So let us spin the wheel and see what it is going to be. And it is a top 30. And you know what? To be fair, that makes Neera's mates no difference. It's going to be a full reverse grid because we had a couple of people that weren't able to finish on the lead lap. So, a full reverse grid. All that's going to be exciting, especially around here.
Yeah, lots of opportunities to overtake, but not too many opportunities to go more than 2 wide, particularly. So the driver's going to have to be efficient and decisive with their moves before they get too carried away with anything. But a top 30, I always seem to turn up, and there always seems to be high reverse grids. I don't know if that's anything in the water, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes on. I mean, a lot of people might not be thanking me for a full reverse grid by the end of this one. Ryan Main probably won't be for sure. We'll be able to bring you the full results as soon as they are available to us. We're just waiting, I think, for SDK to load them up before we go into another short break here on ASR, ready for the 4th and final race of the evening, the final bit of action. And here we go. Final results for race number 3, though, on your screen. And by 0.03 of a second, Ryan Main takes the victory ahead of Tom Griffiths. Craig Cockrell comes home in 3rd, and that means it's 2 Pro-Ams on the overall podium in Ryan Main and Craig Cockrell. Luke Cooper was 4th, with Jason Cooper being in 5th. Shane Piggott in 6th with 7th being Andy McEwen. Casper Court in 8th, 9th, Lars Fisher. Rounding out the top 10 and winning the AM category is Simon Robson. Adam Mitchinson is in 11th. Michael Seal in 12th. Duncan Cope in 13th. 14th was Harley Moss, with 15th being James Clark. Frank Vestner was 16th, Lee Holmes in 17th, and Nick Clibbins in 18th. Then we look further down, and Brian Stewart is in 19th, with 20th being Liam Silkston. Adam Delmont, 21st, Renato Campano in 22nd, 23rd was Douglas Stewart, 24th was James Neve, and 25th was Fiona Siddons, which means Fiona Siddons will be on pole position because the next 5 drivers were all off the lead lap. Julian Schroer was 4 laps down, Adam McNally was 8 laps down, so was Craig Schill. Mark Oliver, 10 laps down, Andy Thompson, 9 laps down. And Glenn Humberstone ended up 11 laps down, so 31 car grid, but with 25 reverse grid, essentially. Dan, that's setting up to be something exciting, a grandstand finale here, I'm sure.
Certainly so, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic to get it all underway, which will be happening in a few moments, as you say. Yeah, I mean, again, credit to Ryan Main. That was we certainly have a contender there for driver of the day, and you know, that was just we're seeing a lot of congratulatory messages in the chat as well, which is fantastic to see, and nice to see the support from everyone recognising when there has been a fantastic drive, and that was certainly it. But yes, we are going to take a few moments break, and then we're going to come back for you for race number 4. Make sure you stick around if you haven't already. Please make sure you do like and subscribe to this channel, the Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel. We stream several times throughout the week in various different series, and it would be great to have you on board for those as well. But we're back in around about 7 or 8 minutes, so stick around for what is going to be a very, very, either way, interesting last round. Hello everyone, welcome to the final race here and the final round of, round number 9 of the BSR MX5 trophy. My name is Daniel Handover and joining me for the final race as well is Jack Oliphant. We are going through, it's got a bit dark now, isn't it? It's coming into the sunset hours and the twilight hours of Oran Park. You can see the lights are shining, casting the casting lights onto the track itself. Is that really going to have an effect on the racing we've seen? Probably not, considering we have got a full reverse grid, Jack.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not based in Britain and Greenwich Mean Time. It would have been dark about 6 hours ago. But it will mean that a couple of people maybe have slips of concentration. It's a little bit more difficult, isn't it, when you're racing under the lights? But a lot of drivers will have gotten used to that by now. You know, we're a fair old whack into this series. I think this is round 8 or 9, is it potentially? So even the new drivers to this championship will be pretty much used to it by now. They know what to expect, and it is a course of stamina. I do always have said this. You know, it's a case of 4 races is quite a lot in a day, in an evening. Sorry, especially 4 50-minute races. And although they're not big, long races, there's a lot of up and down peaks in adrenaline.
Yes, there certainly is. Absolutely. Very, very true indeed. We are going to bring you the grid in a few moments. Just having a few little issues, what seems to be with our software. So bear with us, please. And that will be with you in a few moments' time. But Fiona Siddons will be taking the round start and the race start from pole position. Yeah, just having a few little issues with the broadcast overlay at the moment, so we will have to do a bit of a restart and then we'll come back on that in a few moments' time. But racing is about to get underway. When is it going to be lights out? And in fact, it's going to be lights out now. And again, unfortunately, we're not able to bring you live timing currently as it stands, but I assure you we will be bringing that as soon as possible. There you go, Fiona Siddons making her way straight through, although James Neve is going to have a bit of a look going up the inside as it starts early doors, going down as the lights casting shadows. Oh no, Fiona Siddons comes across by the looks of it. James Neve manages to go through that suspension damage straight away. That camera angle certainly looked like it was just a little bit. Fiona Siddons drifted over to the left a little bit. Didn't look like it was too much though. Very, very unfortunate bit of contact. Adam Delmont, Douglas Stewart having a nice little battle going through down into turn 3 as they go. And they're going to also be side by side going down into turn 4 as well. Not 100% sure what sort of happened there. Again, it was just a little bit cold ties as well. Could have certainly had an impact on that as well. Let us not forget. A little bit further down the order we do have. So Adam McNally's trying to make his way through. Tom Griffiths is trying to make his way through as well. He might even get a position on Adam McNally. Yes, he does. But Adam McNally's fighting back straight away. Whoa, big moment there. Tokyo Drift style from Adam McNally, manages to keep it all in check. Fair play indeed. That is number 17. That is Simon Robson that's had a moment. He's lost a fair few positions, unfortunately. And hopefully, like I said, we are going to bring you the grid in a few moments' time. Still does not seem to be playing ball as it stands at the moment. So we do apologise about that. But again, I said it will be coming to you hopefully as soon as possible. Jack, interesting first lap.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, I'm as useless as anybody because I can't see because of the broadcasting software not exactly working. But I can say that one of the drivers looking at the inside here at turn 1 is very brave as I think that's Adam McNally just touching the outside curb, but he did outside grass. He did really well to keep the car actually straight and narrow. And to be honest, I think it helped to rotate the rear end. Just that extra touch. He gets a good run, but has a little bit of contact and maybe a push to pass potentially there on the driver ahead of him. But a really good run through here. Turn 4, 5, going back up the hill towards the bridge. Tell you what, the first lap has been hectic, but it always is in race 4. That's the thing. Race 4, it's as I mentioned before, there's troughs and peaks of adrenaline throughout the entirety of the evening, and lots of people trying to keep a calm head through the first 3 races to try and not mess up the entirety of the evening and their reverse grid potential. But in race 4, you don't have to worry about a race 5. There isn't one, so you might as well just go for it. And especially if you banked decent points in the first couple of rounds, and then you've banked 0 points in the first couple of rounds, you might as well go for it and throw everything at the wall, which is exactly what these drivers are doing, because they're coming across The start-finish line 2x2, brave stuff, but we saw Ryan Main and Tom Griffiths judge it to perfection in the end of race 3, and what a fantastic end of race 3 that was. Hurtling down towards the first corner, still just about keeping it clean enough, aren't they? And we're hoping to bring you back the broadcasting material as soon as we can, because, well, I know about as much as you spectators out there and where everybody is, unfortunately. So it seems that the timing towers have just completely stopped, because the browsers stopped as well, so I'm really not sure about it, but we'll give it a go and see if we can get it back online anytime soon. But apparently, I think something about the timing software maybe is having a hissy fit, because it seems to have just gone dead. I was having a lot of trouble with it before, that's why I was actually late on. I was on in time for race 2, but because I couldn't get the timing software completely on, I wasn't able to join in on the fun, which is a bit of a shame, but by the looks of it, it may have stricken Dan as well. Brilliant racing respect here by the 4 drivers involved in this. We've got a driver off at the front end of the field. Hopefully, if you are following this, then you will be following your favourite driver, and you may be able to just see them fly through the screen. And as they go up the inside, I think that's Adam McNally going on the inside of the number 15 car, and that's a brilliant move. He has carved through the field excellently, it has to be said, and I think that's Ryan Main in the year 1 car just behind him. It may well be Andy McEwen, hoping to follow suit, I'm sure, but the Excite driver having a much better go of this in the 4th race compared to the 1st, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, certainly so. Unfortunately, we're being told as well. I'm actually just having a look through. We are being told that the SDK software that we're running seems to be down in terms of a connection error. So we're currently bringing this in terms of pictures. We're going to be able to show you what is going on. Unfortunately, we will not be able to give you much more than that. So I do apologise, but we will be doing our best, obviously, to work through. We do have, and what is going to be going up as well. In a few moments' time, it will be a live channel, a live timing screen for everyone. That'll be going up in the YouTube channel a few moments' time. In fact, there it is. It's just gone up for you, so do have a look, and that way you'll be able to keep up with what is going on. Speaking of which, we are currently now on board with Glenn Humberston. So this is Glenn Humberstone. Craig Schill is the battle that's just ahead. As you can see, the sun is really starting to set very, very quickly, as we can see here. So it is coming down very, very quickly. Is this going to have a big effect on drivers? It most probably that depends, though. I don't think it'll be too. Maybe your reference points will change a little bit, but I can't imagine they'll be changing all that much. We do have Annie McEwen and Harley Moss giving it a good old battle here. Harley Moss has made up 3 positions. Annie McEwen has made up 10. So he's really, really pushing through. We can see Harley Moss has a little bit of a moment, then comes back with us. And see a little bit of contact there from Annie McEwen. Manages to keep it all ahead, though. I don't think Harley Moss is going to have an opportunity to come back. No, Annie McEwen then pushes through, and he now makes a position up. So that is still maintaining that position ahead. A little bit further up the field, then we have Liam Silkstone, James Clark, and then Michael Seal that are currently battling with one another. Mark Oliver has just had a bit of a crash that we can see here. We've seen someone that's gone off. Couldn't quite see who that was then. I think Adam McNally's had a bit of a moment as well. But as it stands, number 4, Liam Silkstone, is currently residing. And then James Clark is on the tail. Michael Seale's having a bit of a look up the inside. Does he make it stick? I don't think he's going to be able to. Andy McEwen now we're riding on board with. He's got a very, very good. He's got front row seats to the battle between Michelson and James Clark. But in fact, I think he wants to have a go of it himself. They're going to go, is this going to be a 3 wide, Jack? It might very well be a 3 wide. Is Andy McEwen going to get it up the inside? He's going to try and give it a good old go on Michael Seal. I think he's gone and done it. Do you know what? He has indeed. Fair play there to Andy McEwen. Good stuff indeed. Someone's gone off. Who was that? That was Liam Silkstone. Oh no, Liam Silkson's had a moment. He's dropped down to about P15, P16. Might even be a little bit more than that by the time he gets back onto the circuit. Big, big shame there for Silkstone. He's doing very well indeed. What actually happened here? Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, so as McEwen goes through, that's what we were focusing on. Silkstone just seems to go straight on, doesn't he? And ends up almost with an unsafe rejoin. Just holds on to the brakes, though. Did very well. Hopefully he waits for everyone to go past, or at least the vast majority of people to go past before he sees a gap. But yeah, just about held on to that. Now, unfortunately, the timing link I don't think is working that we put in the YouTube chat either. So we do apologise about that. It's that's actually what I'm trying to use, and it's not working for me. So if anybody out there has actually got it working, well then, I'll invite you into the commentary box because you're going to know more than me, to be honest. But what I can say is, although in race 4 we do often see a little bit of a hell for leather and a little bit of a argy-bargy race, I think for the most part, Dan, it's been fairly good, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually, to be fair. You know, certainly something that we're not going to complain at. We've had some really, really good little bit of racing. Glenn Humberstone here, you can just see, trying to have a look up the inside of Douglas Stewart. Is this going to be a position gain? It may very well be. And you know what? I think it is going to be. Yes, it is. So Glenn Humberstone goes straight up the inside. No mess, no fuss. He just sort of, he cracks on. Ryan Main, then Brian Stewart. Brian Stewart has actually just got past Ryan Main. So the race winner for the last round certainly is moving forward. He's lost one position, started in P23. So unfortunately he has dropped a position. And obviously that was to Brian Stewart. But again, a long way to go in the race, a lot of things left. I can't believe how dark it's getting so quickly. It's getting really, really dark. It's just... Yeah, I'm absolutely astounded. Meanwhile, we have at the front, we've got Lee Holmes. He's currently riding 7/10 in front of. That's James Neve in P2. And then Adam Delmont is in P3. This is a very, very close battle, and it will continue to get even closer. 9 minutes have gone in this race. We have got 6 minutes left to go, so around about 5 laps remain. And we're going to see, I'm sure this battle comes down. It depends, though. It depends if we see Adam Delmont actually try and catch up, or is he going to battle with James Neve, or are they both going to work together to try and catch up with Lee Holmes at the front. A little bit further down the audio, this is Luke Cooper and Adam McNally going to go side by side. We've seen Adam McNally make some daring moves as well, and that is one of them. Goes through, manages to get on the brakes, sorted. Job's a good one. Next person in sight for him is Adam Mitchinson. As it stands at the moment. A little bit further down as well, we have Simon Robson, and that is Craig Schill that are having a bit of a battle. They're going to go possibly side by side. It depends on who's the last of the late breakers, and it is going to be the number 82 of Craig Schill. Bit of a wiggle there from Simon Robson. He tried to have a bit of a look, couldn't quite do it though, so we're now going to ride on board. This is Craig Cockrell, who's got, again, front row seats here of what's going on, but this is a three-way battle, and Craig Cockrell is just sitting here, just sort of let it all happen. Whoa, someone's gone off. Who was that? That was Craig Shields, so he's dropped down the order. Not entirely sure what's happened there, possibly a mechanical issue or something, maybe a software issue perhaps, but either way, hardware, software, whatever it is, he has dropped that position, and he's dropped about 5 or 6. Certainly not good, and he's even jumped to the pits. I wonder what's happened there. Doubt he might have even blown his engine. We'll see if we can get a replay. But we've got too much action to look at that for the moment. Luke Cooper has just gone up the inside of Adam Mitchinson. And actually Adam Delmont's had a bit of a moment off. What's happened to Adam Delmont here? Oh, that was a bit of a... I didn't tell you what. Unfortunately, Adam Delmont's going to lose a fair few positions. No, do you know what? He's only lost, surprisingly, he has only lost 1. That was a bit of contact. Couldn't quite see who that was, actually. Was that Adam Mitchinson? I think it might have been Adam Mitchinson. No, it was Simon Robson that had a moment. Oh, dear. There is Simon Robson. What has happened? Luke Cooper was involved with that as well. Let's have a quick look at the replay as they come through down into it. Just me a little bit too late on the brakes. Oh, that's a bit of a send. It's a send that was not supposed to be a send, I think. It may have been, I think Simon Robson just missed his braking point, I think, there, to be fair, Jack.
Yeah, I think he did. He's sent that via DPD, hasn't it? It's ended up being a bit damaged on delivery, unfortunately. So it's not been the best, really, move by him. But as we're looking a little bit further up the order, it's starting to get a little bit hectic at the front end of the field. It's the Year 1 machine just ahead of these two cars now as one of them looks towards the inside. As I said, apologies that we can't really bring you exactly who's who and what's what. I am about seeing as much as you are, as one of the drivers on the outside touches the grass and you're never going to get it stopped. Yeah, Adam Delmont, you're never going to get stopped, are you, once the 2 outer wheels touch on the grass. And we saw that from a few drivers earlier on. It's he's gone away with it purely because his front wheel has touched the same as the rear wheel, which means it hasn't snapped out on him. I mean, he's lost a lot of places, but it could have been an awful lot worse.
Certainly. So, quick rundown. We've got 3 minutes remaining here. Lee Holmes, James Neve, Annie McEwen, Casper DeCourt, James Clark are your top 5. Then we have Michael Sill in P6, Lars Fisher 7th, Jason Cooper 8th, Adam Delmont that we can see here in P9, and then Harley Moss rounds out your top 10. So that is the top 10. We're going to bring obviously the full finishing grid as well. Unfortunately, it won't be physically on the screen, but we will have to be descriptive as we can. Andy McEwen, this is the battle here between Andy McEwen and Casper de Court. So a nice, good battle here. This is for the final step on the podium. Casper de Court tries to go on the outside, but decides against, though. He's going to get a bit of a cutback. And he's actually going to get a very, very good run. Already goes to the inside. That means Andy McEwen is going to be forced around the outside. A very, very good run indeed for Casper de Court. You see Adam McEwen. He's pushing him on the inside, trying to force him to take a slightly more compromised line. Andy McEwen, though, tries to hang out on the outside as much as he can. Oh, a bit of a spin there. Who was that? I can't see who that was. That was James Clark. So James Clark has had a moment, and Harley Moss, I think, has had a moment as well. Arguably, though, fantastic move there from Casper de Court. And then we got a bit of... This is a three-way battle here. Oh, Harley Moss gets forced a little bit wide by Tom Griffiths. Then Harley Moss getting forced a little bit wide by Tom Griffiths there. I'm sure that's going to upset Harley Moss greatly. And he's taking it on the very, very aggressive defence that you can see. Tom Griffiths tries to get the inside. We see Harley Moss pushing him on the inside. Very much entitled to do so. You can squeeze someone as much as you want. You can't push them off the circuit, but you can squeeze them. That is why Harley Moss retained that lead. You see him squeeze. He pulled back out to his normal racing line. At that point, Tom Griffiths couldn't do anything. Very, very good stuff indeed. I'm liking these sort of things. Oh, no, Tom Griffiths has spun Harley Moss around. That will be a penalty, I'm sure. Oh, dear. That is certainly going to be, I'm sure that will be, I can't imagine the things that is going through Harley Moss's head at that moment in time. It's tricky though, isn't it? You don't really know what's going to happen in some instances, do you? But yeah, a little bit of a shame there for what happened there with Harley Moss. But meanwhile, Andy McEwen back at the front is trying to try and have another move around the outside. This is the last lap, bear in mind as well. So Andy McEwen trying to go around the outside of Casper de Court, but can't quite make it stick at the moment.
Yeah, he's fighting with Casper de Court, but by the end of this, he might need a glass full of port because he may well end up losing on a podium position here. But he's trying his best to hold on to third place. He obviously had it taken away by Casper earlier in the previous lap, but he's trying his best. I think it's just about going to be enough of an overlap there for Casper to cut across him and retain that lead. So they've got a series of chicanes before the final corner. I'd say probably the final corner is the final opportunity as well. It's not just the final opportunity because it's the final corner. It's because it's the only other real overtaking place that is left on this circuit. But Andy actually needs to be really careful that he's not going to lose out on fourth place here. He needs to stick right at the backside of Casper as they come back up the hill. I don't think it's going to happen. And so we're going to cut to our leader on the finishing line.
Indeed, there we are. Lee Holmes taking the race victory. Fantastic stuff indeed. Here is Andy McEwen and Casper de Court. So Casper de Court comes across the line in P3. So 5-Star Motorsport getting at least one finishing position. At least a podium position in every single round of this, every single race of this round. Jason Cooper goes up the line in P5. This is a pretty close battle. Michael Sue, Glenn Humberstone, only about 800s apart. So that was pretty close indeed. And then Harley Moss, Jane Piggott, then Brian Stewart. A few more drivers left to finish. And then we will be wrapping up for you. And then making some... hopefully we'll have a chat with a couple of people. And then we will be wrapping up with this event. Oh my goodness. Well, considering we didn't have any... we didn't have anything, to be fair, in regards to overlays for you. Again, which we are very much very apologetic for. And unfortunately, it was out of our... unfortunately, it was something that we were unable to get. I think that worked out surprisingly well, didn't it, Jack?
Well, at least the racing was exciting that we had on our screens at the end of the day. So, and at least you had your timing tower on the broadcast software, so we at least knew who we were looking at, because otherwise it would have been a bit difficult, wouldn't it? But yeah, as the lights came down, it was certainly very exciting from these drivers, and I'm very much glad that they brought us a show, shall we say. And yeah, it's just a shame I couldn't come here from the start, Dan. It seemed to be a good evening's race.
Certainly so. It is indeed. So, as we go through, we are going to bring you the results now, as we are going to read them out to you. And then we'll hopefully have a quick chat with a couple of drivers, and then we will be wrapping up. So, taking your race victory is Lee Holmes, the very, very good drive from the 88 Tech Racing car. Fantastic stuff indeed. And then we have James Neve, P2, Casper Court in P3, Andy McEwen in P4, Jason Cooper 5th, Alan Delmont in 6th. We then have Lars Fisher 7th, Tom Griffiths in P8, Anna McNally in P9, James Clark in P10. Michael Seal rounds out in P11, Glenn Humberstone 12th, Luke Cooper 13th, Douglas Stewart in 14th, Harley Moss in P15, Shane Piggott 16th, Brian Stewart 17th, Adam Mitchinson P18, Craig Cockrell in 19th, Nick Clemens takes you top 20 with Ryan Main P21. Mark Oliver 22nd, Liam Silkson 23rd, and then Simon Robson P24. Murato Campan 25th, Craig Schill in 26th, and then Fiona Sidden unfortunately not finishing the race with that incident on the first corner. And there we go. Are we going to see a few drivers come in to the commentary box? We may very well do. We are going to say goodbye to Jack, but thank you very much, Jack, for attending this race. It's very much appreciated, and I'm glad and hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, it was brilliant. I'm always keen to jump on for the BSR, so as soon as my gig is done with the VRRC, if you need me, I'll be there. Don't you worry, Dan.
Amazing stuff. Jack, pleasure as always. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. And here we go. Are we going to have a couple of people in the waiting room? And you know what? I think we are going to. We're going to chat first with Andy McEwen. Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely knackered. It was hard work, that.
It certainly was, wasn't it? I think a mixed results table for you across this round. I mean, talk us through it, because it was certainly a bit of an emotional roller coaster from our perspective, anyway.
It's bold of you to assume I can remember anything beyond the last 5 minutes. To be honest, it's just so busy out there. You know, you think that racing at Spa or something with all the slipstreaming would be, more stressful than this, but it really isn't. It's so hard because your overtaking opportunities are so limited. So when you get one, you've got to, really commit to it, and you're constantly, or at least I was constantly on edge, just waiting for it all to go completely wrong. Which, I don't actually think it did. I had a couple of moments. I think I owe Luke Cooper an apology for a race earlier on in the night, but generally pretty happy with that.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, well, I think to be fair, Oran Park is it's actually the first time I've commentated on the MX5s around here, and it's, again, fantastic race, really, really works. What's it like for you to drive as well? Is it a track that you enjoy driving?
I'm not sure enjoy is the word I'd use, but I do seem to be surprisingly quick at Oran for some reason. I was when we raced it in season 1 this year, which was my first season in the championship, and I was pretty competitive. So it's fun though. It's a real roller coaster. That final sector, especially when you've got the sort of downhill S's and then back up through that 90 left. It's really good fun, and it's an absolute crime that they've turned it into a housing estate, I think now, isn't it, in real life, because it used to provide some really good V8 supercar racing. So,
Indeed.
But yeah, good fun, really good fun.
Brilliant stuff. No, fantastic. And yeah, like I said, really, really good for us to be able to catch up with you and see some good racing. Anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
I probably should give a shout out to my teammate, because I believe that was Ryan's first ever win in BSR. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to chat to him, but I mean, everyone in chat was in the Discord chat was just so happy for him. I don't think I've ever seen a more popular winner. So a huge congrats. He's been. They're certainly happier to see him win than that Cooper bloke again. So yeah, nice to get some new winners, and especially nice that it's a teammate of mine.
Certainly so. Certainly so. Andy, pleasure as always, and we look forward to catching up with you hopefully same time next week.
What track are we on next week? I've actually forgotten.
Do you know what? So have I. Speaking of which, let's bring up the calendar. Why not, as it's there. The calendar coming up next for us will be, it's Road Atlanta. Oh, Road Atlanta. I like Road Atlanta.
I like Road Atlanta. And then we're going to the greatest racetrack in the world the week after that.
Park.
So, I'm looking forward to this. Should be an interesting final few rounds.
Certainly so. Certainly so. Well, Andy, look forward to catching up with you at Road Atlanta next week.
Yeah, likewise. Good job, mate. See you next week.
Cheers, Andy. And there we go. That was Andy McEwen. And then the other driver that we've got in here as well, seems to be the last person that we're going to interview for this evening, is Mr. Harley Moss. Harley, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How are you doing?
Yeah, not great.
It was certainly mixed results from you. Talk us through the round for you this evening.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there.
Sorry, talk us through the event for you this evening. It was a mixed results for you.
I mean, race 1, I made a mistake. I ran a little bit too fast into the first corner and had to run wide to avoid someone. Ended up sliding on the grass. I hit the wall very, very lightly, but obviously dropped me back down the pack, and I just had to try and fight as far through as I could. Race 2, I mean, wasn't really much to say about race 2 apart from the standard of driving, which I'm not going to get into my personal opinions on that because you probably won't be seeing me back next week if I do. But I don't think it was great. I mean, people are making moves where they're not needing to make moves, if I'm totally honest. Especially around a track like this where there's literally 1 or 2 corners that really you should be going for a move. The other corners, like, just sit behind for the lap and set it up for those 2 corners that you can pass on. I'm seeing people throwing dive bombs left and right tonight, and it might make for good racing for people watching, but when you're in the car and someone throws a move from 100 yards back and you're already on the brakes trying to stop as it is, and then having to avoid them because they're flying into you, it doesn't make it for fun racing for when you're in the car.
No, it's like I said, it's certain. I think in regards to Oran Park, it's a bit of a tricky circuit. It's a fantastic circuit to drive, but yeah, I think in terms of racing, a little bit busy. It can be a little bit busy here, especially when you've got 30 cars. But I think all in all, certainly from a perspective, we certainly saw some good racing. There's always going to be those sort of like occasional moves that you think, oh, probably wasn't worth trying. But again, it's a learning curve for everyone. Harley, from yours, though, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to on the stream?
Yeah, so once again, the sequential Sim Sport boys, the Evicted Esport boys, and then our new sponsor that that came on board this week, Simbox. So check them out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/SimboxPC. They make sort of like sim dashes that they can integrate Stream Decks into for your button boxes, or they do make custom-made button boxes as well. So go and check them out.
Brilliant stuff. Fantastic. Well, thank you very, very much, Harley. Pleasure as always. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Yeah, and you too. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See you later. Bye.
Take care. And there you go. That was Harley Moss. To be fair, understandably frustrated as well. Certainly wasn't the perfect round that Harley would have wanted. But that is it. We are going to have to wrap up. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, everyone. Once again, apologies for the lack of broadcast and the lack of stream SDK software that we could give you for the final race. Something that was certainly something that we weren't expecting. But I'm hoping that we managed through and we still were able to give you some good action nevertheless. Next week, we are at Road Atlanta on the 16th for some cracking racing again. A slightly more, I suppose, well-known track is the best word. And certainly I'm sure that a race that's going to be providing some fantastic battles throughout, as we have seen today. But until next time, everyone, as always, before we actually do wrap up, big thank you again to the sponsors of this series, SIM3D and Go For The Gap. And also as well, if you haven't already, please make sure you like and subscribe to the Absolute Sim Racing channel. We broadcast several times over the course of a week with several different series, so please make sure you get involved with those as well. Take care, everyone. Pleasure as always. And all that's left to say is take care, stay safe, see you at Atlanta. a very quick one as well. Apologies, but this is one thing we did want to very, very quickly bring up for everyone as well. And that was the driver of the day. And 100% that is going to be given to Ryan Main. Absolutely fantastic drive. So Ryan Main, and that was for the race win in race number 3. Fending off some very, very stiff competition and just driving a fantastic race right up until the last 10 yards. Absolutely amazing. So Ryan Main does indeed take driver of the day. But yes, that is it. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Pleasure as always. And we look forward to seeing you next week.